And it's from my understanding that you have a good amount of experience in backpacking and also bike packing, which is newer to me. And so, what I want to ask you, Domkey, is can you provide the Just Trek listeners with tips and advice that have greatly helped you personally for first backpacking and then get into bike packing? Like, if you have like two or three tips for each one or whatever comes to mind.
Okay. So I'll start off with backpacking. Definitely the first thing I learned in backpacking that I screwed up with was overpacking. That's legitimately the worst thing to do because one of my first trips I overpacked and this also leads with another tip where it's practice with your bag before you go on a trip because
That's a great tip. I like that.
honestly, and I mean, like, even if you're just like going on a walk with your dog or something, just put your backpack on and go walk around. Like, even if it's for like 15 to 30 minutes, just go walk with your pack on. Whatever you're going to pack, make sure you packed it up and then like put it on. Don't overpack it because I've learned the hard way really bad where I overpack my bag. I mean, so it was funny. I was on this hike,
You have
right?
a
One of my,
story, right? You got a
yeah, yeah,
story.
yeah.
Tell me, tell me.
So I was like on one of my first like backpacking trips, and it's probably like I kept telling my girlfriend I was like, nah, cool, like backpack's like light as shit, like I don't gotta worry about it. Look, I'm fine. I was like dancing with it on and everything. I'm like, nah, cool, cool, cool. Like fucking like 30 minutes into the trip, I'm like, oh man. My girlfriend's like, are you all right? I was like, yeah, my hips are hurting a little bit. Like, you know where like your bag sits on like your hips, like
Hmm.
it goes like around and it's like right there. Like I was like, nah, no, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Like fucking 10 more minutes in, I was like, whoa, like I can like barely walk right now. I was like, yo, hold up. She's like, what? I was like, I don't think I could do this. She's like, we're like a mile in. I was like, yeah, I don't think I do it. She's like, what did you pack in your bag? Yo, I open up my bag up, and then like the first thing I pull out is a fucking whole bottle of whiskey. I mean, like a fat bottle. It's like this big.
I'm not surprised. I'm not
And like,
surprised.
yo, but in my head, I'm like, yo, it's just a bottle of whiskey. Like, it's nothing. She's like, you would be fucking surprised. And I was like, nah, like, there's no fucking way. And then, like, after that, I pulled out, I had like these like extra tent poles in there that added weight. And I was just like, maybe it is that. I don't know. So like I ended up turning around my first trip. I was like, fuck it, I can't do it. It's bad. Like I'll sit until like I'm like in dead pain before I give up. I was like, nah, I can't fucking do it. So
Don't
ever
overpack.
since, honestly, so never overpack. Cause like after that, yeah, I was fine. It was definitely because I was an idiot and overpacked really bad, and it like fucked me up. And it also adds on one of my good friends at work. It's fun. It's fun because like some of the guys I work with right now, actually, they're into backpacking and shit too. And one of the guys that I work with was actually like, he's like, yeah, blah blah blah's not in today because he couldn't handle the trip that we did. I was like, what? I was like, how long do you guys do it for? He's like, their whole trip was only supposed to be like 25 miles, and they got 11 miles in, and the other guy quit. He said he called an Uber up because he couldn't fucking do it. And I was like, what happened?
Damn.
He's like, he overpacked his bag. I was like, fuck. I was like, it's okay. I know the first time that I went backpacking, I did the same thing. But yeah, don't overpack and make sure you practice with it because even if you think that you're underpacking, still practice with it to make sure you have a good feeling of it because it could fuck with your hips or you just don't want to. The worst thing is to do is to have a really uncomfortable backpacking trip because you got a whole another day or two ahead of you if you wake up the next day and you're in pain from like the day before. Um, okay, so another tip. This goes for bike packing.
So,
It's
what is bike
oh
packing
yeah,
first?
so bike packing and backpacking you almost got to follow the same rules. It's just done differently. So like for and also by the way, whatever I'm saying right now, I'm more experienced in backpacking than I am in bike packing because bike packing I've only done for a year or two. So like, yeah, little credit. I mean, a little like leniency with this because I'm also still learning fully with bike packing. But um, bike packing is almost the same way where you don't ever want to overpack because the lighter you are, the less strain it's going to be on you for like biking, especially with like going up hills and whatnot. So like bike packing for us. So what you're doing with bike packing, you're literally doing the same thing as backpacking, except with bike packing,
Hmm.
your journey is a lot longer. So we're talking about like, I don't know, I'll say like an easy like bike packing trip is like 100 miles in total, which is like 50 up, 50 back, or like, yeah, yeah, you go up 50, you camp out for the night, you come back. That's an easy
Got it.
like bike packing trip. Um, so, but it's the same thing as you don't want to overpack. You're overpacking. You're slowing yourself down. You're putting more weight onto your bike. You're just making it more strenuous than it actually has to be. So you make sure you actually have like decent like bike packing equipment. Uh, Meaning like you got you're you're getting enough. You're not overpacking your bike up with like 50 million different bags up.
Hmm.
I usually only go with a handlebar bag. I have um, a saddle bag, which is like, or a bag that hangs off like basically the back of your seat.
Okay.
And then I have like a bag that hangs like right in the middle of my bike. And that's it. That's all I need. And then my girlfriend usually, she does like the exact same thing. So technically what happens is I take the tent. So I take a smaller tent with me as well. Like my tent that I take biking with me, it only weighs like a pound and a half.
Okay.
It's a smaller tent, but it's like the less weight, the better for biking. So like it's probably like this small, but it holds two people. And then like I put my biking tent poles like in the center, and then like I have like a couple extra tubes. And you always got to make sure you're like prepared. That's another thing with like bike packing is the tools that are necessary for it as well. You gotta fucking bring them because if you go with a flat on a biking trip, you're going longer distances, which means you're also having to walk back farther, or I don't know, just you're a lot farther away from your starting point than you are with hiking. So, and it's not easy to call an Uber up and be like, "Hey, can you come pick me and my bikes up because
Sure.
we need a trip back." So you always got to be ready for that. You always got to make sure you have your tools prepared for it. Just have like a bike toolkit. Actually, has like everything on it that you need. And then like just make sure that you always have like extra tires on you. The necessities that you need, always double check with it. Like I'm more worried about bike packing than I am about backpacking because backpacking is just like it's kind of like what you it's like second nature to you of like what you need and what you don't need
Hmm.
versus bike packing where it's just like when you're newer to it, you tend to not know or forget everything to bring with you. So just make sure you always have the right tools with you, everything that you're going to need, just in case something happens to you and you need to like either like crash for the night or like change a tire or something. Because actually, recently, I popped one of my tires on a trip. I wasn't bike packing. I was just on a normal route, and I think I was like 25 miles in, and my girlfriend's tire popped, and I went to go fix her tire, and I didn't have these two little tools that kind of like pop your tube out, and I didn't fucking have them. I had the tire, I didn't have the fucking tools, so I was like,
Oh no.
oh shit. So I had to use. Luckily, I have like a bottle opener on my like keychain, which technically I could have fucked up the rim really bad, but it was the only thing I had. It's like it's either that or walking back 25 miles. So
Yep.
luckily it worked. But yeah, I was like, shit, I can never forget these again because that's a really bad experience. But um, yeah, but it's also cool because then you get to like look up like cool little gadgets for biking too. Because like I never knew they had bike pumps that are like literally this big
Hmm.
and like they extend out and then they have like another two that like extend out. So it's like you get all the cool like gadgets and shit. But like the bags and everything you find cheap. You don't need anything like super like crazy good. Like
Yeah.
just enough to get you like through your shit. And I always recommend like if you're gonna do a bike packing trip, like test it out first. Like start with like I don't know. 30 is extremely easy, but do like 30 and 30, like 60 miles altogether, or like then keep bumping it up. Like don't ever pressure because you don't know how you're going to feel the next day waking up. Because also biking back an entire like I don't know, like 5 hours or like 4 or 5 hours, it's gonna suck if you're injured. Like there's certain muscles that you work a lot harder than when you're hiking that like you really got to look after like waking up the next day. So yeah, that's another tip.